On this episode of the Ask Mike Reinold Show, we talk about some business-related questions. We talk about how we accommodate for new clients coming in and how quickly we can get people into our system here at Champion. And we talk about how many times a week we see them. But more importantly, I think more than both of those, we talk about the #1 factor that you have to focus on if you got into this profession for the right reasons. The Ask Mike Reinold Show. Helping people feel better, move better, and perform better. Welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of the Ask Mike Reinold Show. We're up at Champion PT and Performance. Lenny, Dave, Dan, and Mike here with our students, Kevin and Jan. Let's get it. That was the fastest intro ever of all time. We are answering your amazing questions. On this episode, we got a good couple of questions that we're going to answer. They're business related, a little bit about how we do things at Champion, which I think is nice every now and then to put a few of these kind of questions together. So who's up first? Jan?
Being such accomplished medical providers, do you ever have to turn down a client due to numbers? Is it sometimes hard to accommodate such a great amount of customers, especially since you're a one-on-one clinic?
It's pretty good. Did you ask this question? So the question is, do we ever turn down people here at Champion? Because we are. I mean, we're all quite busy. We all have, you know, there's a bit of a wait list at times. But Lenny, why don't you start with this line? Because I know your perspective on this a little bit here. But like how accommodating are we here to new clients?
I mean, we are tremendously accommodating to the point, you know, we're constantly working people in. If like I just had somebody reach out wanting to work with me, I didn't have an opening, so they are going to work with Dan later this week. Or a lot of people reach out to Mike and want to work with me. Now, to answer your question, we do turn people away every once in a while just because it's not a good fit, whether or not they want to use an insurance or they are I guess insurance would be the big one, but or they've been referred by a doc and they I guess it would be insurance. they just want to use insurance, and that's just not our model, and they are set on using their insurance. So, but otherwise, we are constantly trying to get people on the schedule. Actually, our wait is probably 1 to 2 days, maybe a few days at the most. But most people, if they reach out to Champion, they want to just see one of us, one of our PTs, and if they want to see a particular PT, they're 99% of the time open-minded to see anybody else. And I think it's a great system that works for us.
Yeah, we definitely bend over backwards to get people in, and it's funny. There's some like insurance-based clinics around here where people will call and be like, yeah, I called a couple places. They have like a 3-4 week, timeline to get in for physical therapy. It blows my mind. I've never operated that way, both with insurance and without insurance, like in an out-of-network model.
Even when we were busy in Birmingham, we would still get people in that same day.
You would have 20 people on your schedule, and the doctor, someone would see the doctor upstairs, and they'd walk down, and we'd evaluate them within an hour. Right? Because we're here to serve the people.
Yeah, I think those clinics that have a 3 or 4 week wait need to maybe hire another therapist. It sounds like, or they expand their base.
They don't care about people.
Right.
They don't, like you're a person. You reach out to, especially with us too. Like we get to a personal level with us. Like so, a friend recommended you or something like that. And we're texting on a Sunday about, hey, like this guy wants to come in Wednesday, but I'm out of town. Yeah. Mike, can you see him at 3? Like we bend over backwards to get him in. If you're not accommodating for people, if you're not flexible, then you're gonna have a really hard time getting traction in your community, right? So I think we're known for that now, and like we're always there for people. We're a resource for people. Like once you get in our network, you stay in our network for forever, and like you refer your friends and your kids and your parents. All these things kind of come into play. So man, you got to be accommodating.
And people know that. People know that if somebody initially got in and pretty quickly, and they try to send a friend, they know we're going to try to get their friend in quickly. It's just it's what is known by us. Our friends and our previous clients know that about us, and I think it's a big selling point for people because they want to get answers right away. If you have an ankle issue, knee issue, shoulder issue, you don't want to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks. You want to know now, and I think they know that they can rely on us for that.
Yeah. Awesome. Good. Anybody else have anything?
Nailed it. No, it's good. I mean, same exact thing. One thing I will say is that, as a busy physical therapist, sometimes you take on too many responsibilities.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to trim them down so that you can do a good job at what we do, right? So I've had to give up a few different things. Seeing people kind of more online programming, that type of thing. So we're able to now generate this cool system. So
yeah, that's good. That's a good point, right? I mean, but look, I mean, if you're just like a 8 to 5 kind of person or 9 to 5, whatever I'm supposed to say nowadays, but if you're just that kind of person and you don't really care about the clientele, I mean, then you probably didn't get in this field for the right reason. But like, look, all right, be a little busy, work somebody in, have the student help you, you know, have another therapist kind of help you co-treat somebody, but you're there for the person, right? And if that is not your first primary objective, you're doing everything wrong. Like, you know, I mean, you set up your you know, either your profession or your clinic, your business, whatever it may be, you have to base it on that. And I think that's part of why we've been successful here at Champion, is that's how Lenny and I kind of grew up with, like super accommodating for people, right? So, you know, and we're accommodating in so many other ways too, right? Like we're talking about it just in terms of squeezing new people in, but man, we have like a lot of people that drive like between 1 and 3 hours to come see us, sometimes several times a week. So now we have to be accommodating and say like, all right, well, let's get you at like noon because I don't want you sitting in traffic on either end. So then, all right, let me talk to this other person. Let me try to bump them to 1. Or, you know, we take advantage of some people that are flexible with either their schedule or their time and say like, all right, look, hey, can I move you? This person needs to come at this specific time. And it's always kind of like micromanaging that. And maybe we're good at that, by the way, is we manage our own schedules, which is a whole nother thing. We don't have like a front desk person that just manages our schedules, because then they're just blindly just like, is there an opening? No. When's the next one? In 3 weeks. Right? Like we manage it ourselves because these are our people. This is like our family, right?
Hashtag.
Awesome. All right, good stuff. All right, what's our next question? I know we got another one.
Kelsey from Arizona. How often do you guys typically see patients? I know many clinics have clients that come back 2 to 3 times per week, even if they are not post-op.
Do you know Kelsey, by the way?
I do not.
All right, sorry. So I know he goes to school. He goes to school in Phoenix.
Is this necessary, and what are your thoughts?
All right, so how many times a week? So somebody says the question was, a lot of places see people 2 to 3 times a week, right? Is this necessary? Who wants to start?
Yeah, I think this was definitely something that I adjusted to in the mindset and kind of approaching how you build your schedule and stuff. And I think the biggest thing is honesty with people, right? So somebody comes in and we see the spectrum, right? We're like, hey, we're gonna do the evaluation, and whatever we think we'll need, we recommend. If that doesn't fit what you're thinking too, we'll make it work, you know. But you know, we're honest. We say like, okay, so you come in with like an issue that's not like super flared up. It's not super like a big deal right now. It's like, okay, well, here's what I recommend for now. Try this for a week or 2, and like shoot me a couple emails, right? If it's someone who just had surgery, you're like, listen, I know it's gonna be tough up front to maybe get here as often, but I really think you need to be here at least 2 times a week.
Right.
You know, like you need me right now a lot because you can't do a lot yourself.
Right.
But as soon as you're ready to start doing more of a home program or more on your own, let's bump it down to a half-hour session. Let's space them out a little longer because I know it's tough to get here and stuff like that financially or just the time. So I think as long as you're honest with people, there's been times when I think Dan and I could probably say everybody here has had a client that comes in and they think they need like a ton. Like, I'm worried I can't, you know, get here 3 times a week. Like, yeah, well, actually, it's not that bad. Let's have you do something. Let's touch base next week, and we'll put something on the schedule, and then just make it, you know, whatever you need best. And I've had a lot of people who had some pretty acute injuries, like low back pain, that got better with 1 or 2 visits over, you know, a month or so, and then like, you know, that's it. They feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it totally depends, right? You don't want somebody to get behind. So if it's post-op, you don't want them to lose motion, you don't want them to get behind in their guidelines. There's different ways to do it. And, you know, on another spectrum too, like sometimes we'll have like an athlete come in for like more performance-based therapy for like the off season, and we say like, look, hey, we got 4 months to get you ready for the season. We can do plenty of damage once a week. We don't have to like go crazy at the beginning. And then on the flip, we'll have kids come in February and say, I think I'm weak. And, you know, tryouts are in 3 weeks. Like, all right, well, we've got to get after it, you know, a little bit more. We can't just do it once a week, you know, based on that. So there's a lot of ways to do it. I mean, unfortunately, like, well, this is one thing, is we don't really care what the script says if somebody comes in with a script, because it's going to say 2-3 times a week for 12 weeks or something. That's like an insurance company-based thing. That doesn't mean you have to do that, right? I think you just do what's best for the person in front of you.
Right. I think don't blow visits early as long as you think it applies to what their presentation is, because if you blow the visit, most people are insurance based. We're a little unique that we're cash based, so people buy our time. They buy 15 minutes, they buy 30 minutes, they buy an hour of a session. So we can play with that, and we're not limited by insurance. So even with that, we could do 3-4 times a week, believe it or not, and we don't. Typically people are 1 or 2 times a week. Also, for the insurance-based people, your co-pays are now $50, $60, $70 easily. So you do 2-3 times a week, you're now looking at over $100 of just co-pays, never mind the bills they get afterwards if they haven't met deductibles, that you need to also kind of play into your visit planning too. So to me, it depends on the presentation of the person, but I would be kind of conservative, because I know a lot of clinics will look at insurances, see you have 15 visits, all right, let's book you 3 times a week for the next 5 weeks, and those sessions are already booked up in the system just so they can take up spots and they can use all those 15 visits. And to me, it's ludicrous. It doesn't even make sense in my head, but I know clinics do that.
And that's why there's a 5-week wait list at that clinic.
Right.
They've
Right.
done that. So
Yeah.
I think it goes back to the first question too. It's like, you do what's right for the person. Right?
Right.
I mean, you don't do it because the script said it. You don't do it because they have X many visits, right? That's not.
Or their diagnosis, that's another one.
Yeah, or even worse, that the APTA clinical practice guidelines tell you something. Like,
Yeah.
no, everybody's a little different.
Right.
It's not just their presentation in front of you. It's their goals. It's their timelines. There's so many factors that go into it. As a general rule of thumb, this is something I think this is why we're successful here at Champion, is we do what's right for the person, and that's the only thing that drives any of our decisions, right? We never do it for the money. We never do it for really anything else. We just do it for, like, well, what's best for the person? And it's so authentic, and it's so, like, transparently sincere. It's a big sentence right there. It's like
I'm getting emotional.
putting that all together, that then the person feels it, right? The second you're just like, look, let's just come once. Let's come once a week, or let's come twice a week for the first couple weeks. Kickstart this, and we'll go down to once a week. They immediately feel like they trust you more, and you're not trying to manipulate them and milk them and take advantage of it. So, general rule of thumb, I think, for this episode is you just do what's right for the person.
Be a good human.
Making them wait 4 weeks isn't what's right for the person, right? And it's probably because you're making everybody come 3 times a week for 5 weeks. It's probably because you're milking the system and you're trying to take advantage of it. So do what's right for you, and you're going to be busier and happier, and the people around you will be happier for long term. It'll be way better. So awesome. Another great episode. Head to MikeReinold.com, click on that podcast link, and keep asking away. And please go to iTunes, Spotify. We're actually getting more people on Spotify. I can actually see some of these numbers. So anyway, we're getting there. But rate, review, subscribe, and thank you again. We'll see you on the next episode.